Hi there, I'm Mark Isero, and this is the Highlighter Podcast. Hello and welcome to the 19th episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Today on the show, our guest is Sonya Wang, and she is a mom. She's also a loyal subscriber to the Highlighter, and she's also a big lover of Oakland. She spent a lot of time here. Now she's living outside of Chicago, but, Oakland is still a little bit home for her. She's going to be talking about those things, but she's also going to be talking about her time living in the Deep South. She connected with the second article from last week's newsletter, so she's going to be talking a little bit about how living in the Deep South may obviously be different from some of the other places that she's lived. One more thing that I'd like to say about Sonya is that when you become an adult, it's sort of a little bit harder to make really, really close new friends. And so Sonya is one of them, and I just really appreciate her very, very much and her perspective and her friendship. Let's get right to that interview. Hi, Sonya. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great. I wanted you to introduce yourself to the audience, if that is okay.
Sure. I'm Sonya. I'm actually live in Oak Park, Illinois, but originally I'm the Oakland resident for about 6 years.
I do want to talk about Oakland, but first, where are you today? We are recording this from San Francisco to where?
I am in Santa Monica this weekend as a moms get together. Yeah, it's my little getaway. So I'm in this business center in the hotel.
Oh, excellent! Thank you for being in the business center. Is it nice over there?
It's not bad. I got a printer.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, whenever you need to print. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Oakland, because so many listeners are in Oakland of the Highlighter, and then we've had this Highlighter happy hour that is really popular that a lot of people go to, and I also work a lot in Oakland. Can you say a little bit about how you got to Oakland? And it seems like you really love it. So can you say a little bit about that?
So we have our daughter about 6 years ago, and that's the moment it was in San Francisco, and we noted that we needed more space. So that's how we crossed the bay, and then we found this condo right by Lake Merritt, and we had the beautiful lake view. That's why we settled in Oakland, and I fall in love with it. I feel very deep, strong about Oakland. I wish I would have lived in Oakland sooner.
Yeah, because you've also been in Chicago where you are now, and then also in New York, right?
Right, yes.
So what is it about Oakland? Because a lot of people are also saying that Oakland is even preferable to San Francisco. What did you love about it so much?
I like the weather. It's a little bit sunnier and warmer. And just the community feel, like the diversity. I feel very easy as I'm living in there. It's just very comfortable as it is. And you don't have the San Francisco traffic, not as bad. And you pretty much can get around, simple at the time, like a mom, it's very, very good to raise your child with. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you have said that, you moved because of your kid, and also you probably had to get a school for your kid as well. And so can we talk about that a little bit?
Right. So my husband and I have two different philosophy. I think he wants the Montessori teaching earlier in her life already, that he already do his research about, basically raising your child as a Montessori kid. I, at the other hand, I'm more play-based, let the kid be kid, So we went through, actually very young, early stage when she was 5 months old. We already visiting school, talking to the principal, talking to the school, talking to the parents, and doing research. Long story short, we settled with the school that he wanted it. So it's in somewhere in Fruitville area. It's a little small Montessori school.
And what did he like about the Montessori? Because didn't you also try Montessori when you moved to Chicago?
Yes, so it's very different. So what he likes about Montessori is that he wanted her to be like the structure, the independency, like the system. Like basically, he enjoyed that when he visited that he liked the children is also like home is also like a work but learning at the same time. But the environment is like a very homey feel. They're participating with the housework to learn, and also like they're pushing the children to this limit of like basically thrive. Like be assertive, like they know what they want, and so he wanted that for our child, for our daughter to have. Especially coming as me and him, while both our backgrounds, Chinese background, Chinese family background, I think being assertiveness is something that we struggle, even as as now, something that we sometimes feel we don't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point because when with Montessori, I do know that there's work to do and then it's very independent and then there's a lot of advocacy that the kids have to go through and have to
Right.
do for themselves. But then
Right.
now that you moved to Oak Park, you chose public school, is that right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
why did you do that? And how is she doing? Does she like the new school?
Oh, she loved the school. We actually see the other side of our daughter that um, I feel like the happy and then the personal enrichment that is just so fast. So she's in public school since the end of August. And we had this conversation recently, me and my husband, it's like, wow, like her academic and her confidence level actually was in this thrive in that short period of time that we didn't anticipate seeing that when we first moved to Chicago and putting her in another Montessori school. So that was actually, we were just kind of, oh, did I make a wrong decision? I should have, when she turned closer to 5 to kindergarten, should we just put her into the regular school? Because some of the things we noticed that Montessori, I think, is great for younger 2 to 4, to teaching the children to be independent, to know what they need to do, and stuff like that. But I think when she was 4 to 5-ish, because it's a mixed age group, so she was grouping it up with a lot of younger children, because I think that's also a Montessori system. So she became she's not progressed. She's actually going, backwards. She's doing a lot of things like the little kids were doing. And she wasn't learning as much as we like her to do. Her reading was not improving, and that was the biggest concern that we thought, oh, maybe we should have put her to a regular school.
And what is she like now most about her new school?
Actually, the funny thing, she said she loved math. She really enjoyed math. And she wants to, and she actually really like reading. She has two little reading partner. So, she is enjoy reading. She enjoy writing story and writing a book. So I see that my happy child is coming back, and I'm pretty happy. I feel confident that this is probably the better environment for her.
Yeah, that sounds really great. I'm happy that you found a good place for her. And you also said that you're on this weekend, with some friends who are also moms. And
Right.
one of the biggest, I don't have kids, so obviously it's hard for me to go into this debate, but there
Right.
is this major debate about public versus private and what's best for your kid and also what's best for your society. And so what do you believe about that? And then what do some of your friends say? Are most people caring only about their kids, and what's obviously you want to do the best for your kid, or
Right.
are there other things that people think about?
Well, this is interesting because so one of our mom friend that she just lost a bit in the house in Piedmont. And obviously, they went through this whole year house searching, bidding war because they want to go into the Piedmont System School. So it sounds like we also were going through that before we moved to Chicago. So it's like the parents is always, they all want to go and live in a better school district. But then they realize it's actually so much harder. The price is outrageous in the real estate price. And not everybody can move their kid to Piedmont. So then we start talking about, well, should we just enjoy where we live and what we like about our community and send our kid to the private school, or, what will you do? What is your decision? Or should we just buy into this and get into this huge, investment or in the house and then our kids in there? And then I have one mom that I'm really close to. She lives in Piedmont, and we know each other through the private school, the Montessori school. She told me that somehow now she's not sure how she feels about public school as well. So it was very interesting, like the struggle, it's sort of like kind of you find out where you're going to live, and only because the school or, the neighborhood. And they're not even sure they even like their community, at all. It's just they had to be there for the school, and that's end up being the focus of their life right now. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember even my parents growing up, they said, yeah, the reason that we decided to live in this school district is just because we heard the school was good, and they didn't even know anything about the neighborhood. So there's people, because of how public schools are drawn, there's a lot of families who are just choosing a neighborhood because of the schools around it.
Yeah, that's pretty where we are right now, because that's what we also do with Oak Park. We don't know much about it, but we know it's a good school district. But now we learn to love it, and it has been great. So that's what they're feeling. I think, so last night we actually, all of us have this deep conversation, and like, what should we do? So one mom moved further out into, deeper area just for the school district, but not to have to suffer from the housing price. And now the mom right now is looking for a new listing to struggle to with Piedmont. But she's also saying, well, why am I doing this? I really love living in, Rockridge area. Why do I want to get into Piedmont so badly? Why am I doing that? Can I just maybe send him to public school, or can I maybe just send him to a private school, and then we'll be same equivalent of that, but at least I'm happy and I don't have to deal with the stress. So
yeah, and I find it interesting also because you prefer Oakland maybe, but in Chicago it seems like Oak Park has allowed you to live in a place that is, it's part of the city, it's a little bit farther out, it's not downtown, but you also have more access to to the public schools without, I'm assuming that, for example, the home prices in Oak Park are not going to be as high maybe as the Bay Area.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. We actually, we were sharing our story, we just recently bought a place in Oak Park, and it was like, ours is so breezy. There's a little bit in war, but it's not like, we had to offer a crazy amount. We actually ended up getting our price under the asking price. And then the most amazingly, like, my daughter get to walk to school. We enjoyed that morning of like just three of us walk her through school, and we live in the Frank Lloyd Wright District area. So it was just really pleasant, and I'm glad that we made that final decision about, because moving across the country, changing her from Oakland to Chicago was a huge impact on her, because she felt very deeply involved with her school, her classmates, her friends, and she loved Oakland. Until today, she still talk about Oak Park is fabulous, but Oakland is home. She want to go back to Oakland, and we all feel the same way. But at this moment, I think what we have done is probably the best situation. I don't think if we move back to Oakland right now, I don't know. I think that anxiety of searching for where you're going to live with the price point plus the school, I'm not sure I want to go through that again. But
Yeah, you make a good point also about walking to school, which is what a lot of parents want. I mean, I know that I walked to school as a kid
Right.
in my suburb. It's all very nice and easy to walk. You know, when you're 6 years old and you can walk to school, it's very nice. And like, for example, in San Francisco, because they do a really good job of making sure, well, they try to do a good job of making sure that no schools are specifically segregated to the degree
Hmm.
that they can. What happens, and a lot of parents have told me, is that there's a perfectly good school right down the street, and yet they have to spend time um, driving their kid clear across town
Right.
to another school. And so they got tired of that, and they said, you know, we believe in racial diversity and
Hmm.
desegregation, but we have to, like San Francisco's got to do it in a better way. Oakland's a little different, but
Right.
yeah, especially my friends in San Francisco, they
That,
say
yeah.
you know, we really want our kid to just be able to walk down the street.
You know, that's interesting. We actually, before we moved to Chicago, we thought we would move back to San Francisco because there's a few school was really good. As we were going through with a realtor, we would say, "Oh, I heard the school is so awesome down that way, and there's a couple opening." But yeah, this, as you mentioned, she said, "Well, not necessarily your kid will go to that school,"
Right.
and that just kind of got us a little bit even more frustrated. And then we decided, you know, when the Chicago came along, we're like, "All right, we're gonna have to do this then." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I also want to appreciate very much you've been a subscriber to the highlighter for a long
Yay!
time.
Yes.
It seems like you read it, so that is wonderful. I'm very happy that you're a guest on the show. And
Yeah.
yeah, before we get into the article, can you say a little bit about the highlighter? What do you like about it, and why are you a subscriber?
Well, I enjoy what you choose an article. So, you know, sometimes I don't, as a mom, I get busy and I will miss a few article things here. And I like the fact that you select all this article, something that I deeply care about, passionate about, and it's really good read that I enjoy your selection. And just something I'm looking for every week. That just as my chaotic life and living in the Midwest right now is something keep me grounded, and I appreciate what you do. So,
Well, that's very nice. And I do also want to say, you know, there is a new subscriber contest right now. So for all the
uh,
moms, you can go ahead and try to encourage them, and you might win a prize.
I am
Uh,
going
so,
to.
so
Yes.
be looking for that. So you were saying that you wanted to talk a little bit more about the second article from last Thursday, and it's about living in the Deep South. Is that the one that you wanted to talk about?
Sure. Yes.
And how come? Because the article is actually about an African American man who lives in the Deep South. And as far as we all know, you are not an African American man. So why did you choose that article?
Well, it's actually interesting. It speaks to me because I went to school in the Deep South for 2 years, and actually that's probably the best time of my college year that I have learned so much because I'm an international student. Started out, I moved to California for school. The reason why I moved to the D South is my husband, my boyfriend, my husband now, at the time, he is from Alabama. So I decided to move closer to be with him. And I have to say, I feel like my journey as a person, as the true American living, have probably those 2 years, I really enjoy my time there. I mean, it's not easy being Chinese as well, also in Deep South, but it can be, you know, while I'm, you know, it's not going to be the same as a black man, you know. So, but it's interesting how my experience there, you know, like there to become who I am now, it helped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and what do you like? What do you remember as the most important things living there for? So it was 2 years, right?
It was actually 2 years in the D South and then a year in Atlanta. So 3 year. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and yeah, what do you remember as being most impactful or most influential?
Well, one funny thing is college football is a big thing in the South. So that's very influential. Is that every college football you go to the tailgate, you do the whole thing, you go to the game. It was very interesting. I found the spirit of the small town get together, and it's like, like almost close to millions of people. The whole town just lived up for it. And if we win, the whole street's full of tissue. And it's just that pride, like something you live for, that everything is okay. We win this week, So I actually, as a big time college football fan, and I think that's part of that. Also, just the simpleness that I remember when I in college, that's was so long ago now, we actually can't go camping a lot because, that's what you do. There's lake, there's river, you drive out to the woods, you camp. It's just something simple like we do, like every weekend all of our friends will get together. We'll pick a place to camp out. And I think that was very special. I don't know. I don't know if the younger kids, they do the same thing, but I'm sure they do. But it's different. I feel like at the time, all of our common goal is get through school, and there's just try to find things about natural, and we just get together, we cook. So it's very special. I feel like there's something I got to experience that I probably would not have if I stayed in LA.
What was your sense on race when you were there?
It's interesting. I think I got a lot of like the misconception that I don't speak good English, like that, small things like that. Or they would be like, for example, my husband got invited to join international student club, although he's born and raised in the South. So he doesn't know why he always continue getting that. I was lucky enough that all of our friends very warm and welcome, but I do have a few incidents at the store or restaurant. Little weird look to it, that you feel the funny vibe a little bit. And I got called name a couple of times. So that's a few incidents like I have. But then recently, last year, we went back for a 20 years anniversary, reunion. So we rented a house in the lake again with a bunch of family together. And it's interesting, we go into a grocery store, I can feel like I getting a funny look. I don't know why, but it was weird, and I don't feel comfortable as much as I used to be. Maybe perhaps I'm more aware because, with the reason the world, with all this politics going on, I just feel like I was just want to get something and get out of there. So that was like a funny feeling,
So it's not necessarily a place that you would want to live now, but it's a place that you like to go visit, maybe?
Yeah, we talk about that. So my husband, for a while, he's also struggled, like to mention people that he's from Alabama. And I've been encouraged. I just thought, because he just feel like people always think that you're from the South, you don't know better. And I said, no, that's not true. You need to set out the example, showing like not everybody from the South is this way. We are Asian American. We still have family in the deep South, and we go back there once a year. I'm not sure, as where I am right now, I will bring my daughter back to living in the South, but I wouldn't mind to visit and also have that Southern heritage that we have as our family there, that, she still continue to have that in her.
I do want to talk about football too, because you mentioned football.
Right.
And so I used to like football and everything, but
Yeah.
the thing with football is in the South, they don't care how violent it is, and they don't care that, for example, all the players tend to be like African American and all the coaches tend to be white. Do they not care about that? Is it really a place of community for them, even across race, or do you think it's segregated? Because it's so big, and I know that, what all the games, they're always talked about, especially in college. What's your viewpoint on that?
It's interesting. I never take class with them, but I noticed I think they have their own tutoring program. So perhaps I sometimes run into a couple of them. I do believe there should be a better system to learn to teach them how to protect them. So I come from the SEC conference, and I noticed a lot of players, by the time they turn pro, their body is so damaging. And that's better way that we, as a community, we need to also advocate for those young people of their safety of protecting themselves, because you see a lot of those players, once they get drafted, they might not necessarily as good as when they're in college year because they gave it all to the college. And perhaps we are keeping in dark. We don't know. I think we just want them to win. And I agree with you. It's a very rough. How you say that? It's like it's just all for the win. They don't know the prize come with it. So
Yeah. Do you think that they should be paid? Do you think that college players should be paid or no?
I think they. Well, this is a tricky part. I think I'm really mixed feeling about it, but I do believe they should have a better scholarship to take care of them well-being, besides just free food and room and board. But because the school is making a lot of money out of merchandise, so there should be a better way. The school needs to also set up the perhaps just like pension plan, or for the player, if they don't make it to the NFL, because that's going to be very few of them, what are the contingency plan for the student, the athlete, that they didn't make it pro, and how they able to, perhaps there should be a better plan using the money the school making instead of buying for this fancy equipment. Perhaps they should have a better plan for this student to find a better job or a skill or something, or to take care of them going forward. This is what they have contributed to the school. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sonia, there's time for one more question. I wanted to ask you about ignorance of folks not from the South, because
Right.
you were in LA, you were in New York, Chicago, Oakland. You've been in many of the major places of the United States, and you've been in the South. And what I worry about also with liberals, especially from the Bay Area, is that we sort of just have stereotypes and we're very ignorant. Do you think that's true? Like when you talk to your friends who have not really lived in the Deep South, what have you noticed? Do you defend, your experience there, or what do you notice with some of your friends?
Yeah, I do notice, especially when it comes to college football or sports. I do get that feeling that people, like that. Like they just saying that, oh, wow, this is so violent. And it is true, it is violent. Don't get me wrong. It is. We just need to really have a better plan. But I think what I see was as a school pride, as a community, as a thing, and I just find that it's easier to make that judgment call. Like, for example, I hear a lot of, so my family's in LA. So that's one part of sports. And then another part is my family's in LA. I go down to LA's a lot. But I always get the impression of Bay Area people hate people from LA, or like, oh, LA is terrible. And granted, all that, all true. Okay, the traffic is horrible. People can be pretentious, but that's also how I feel something about people in the San Francisco Bay Area can be pretentious. So it's just very interesting. I love the hating between the north to the south. So it's really funny, and I just don't understand. I feel like people should be more open-minded about Southern California. There's a lot of special diversity in there, huge food things here, beautiful beach, So I just wish people can take it what is better about this area instead of focusing on what is, not great.
Sonia, thank you so much. You're a wonderful subscriber. Thank you for being on the show. You've been a wonderful guest. I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Sonia, once again for being on the show. And thank you, listeners, for listening in. It definitely is something that I appreciate. One last thing before I go. We are in the middle of a new subscriber drive, in case you didn't see it on Thursday. We're trying to get 100 new subscribers by December 7th, and that's where you come in. If there is somebody who is out there who would totally love the newsletter, have them check it out and then have them subscribe over at highlighter.cc/subscribe. I think that we can make the 100 subscribers definitely with your help. And so, there's also prizes too. Totally crazy and zany prizes for folks who do recruit others to subscribe. So be trying to do that. And thank you again. That's it for this week. I just wanted to thank you again for listening. And I guess the next thing is this Thursday, 9:10 a.m., just as normal. There's going to be another newsletter in your inbox. Have a great week.